Today I'm going to talk about Ableton's stock delay and why the 12.4 update made it so much more useful. So for context, Ableton just updated 3 of its stock devices. We got erosion, which gave us this blend knob so you can blend between the noise signal and the sine signal. We got chorus ensemble, which lets us now control the delay time. So it used to be automatically scaled with the amount, but now we can set a static like 50 milliseconds to each of the taps. And now we can control how many extra voices it adds. So by default, it's always been 2 extra taps, but now we can just set it to 1 extra tap. And then if you turn up the dry wet all the way, you basically just have a vibrato now that's delayed. And then delay just got this super useful LFO section. But before I talk about the LFO section, I want to talk about why delay is just so useful in general. By the way, I'm going to be demonstrating with this upright piano preset from the free upright piano pack. But delay, most people might think of it as this thing that kind of echoes your signal over time and creates some like space or whatever. But lately, I've been kind of thinking of delay as a time machine. So if I turn down the feedback and turn up the dry wet all the way, we'll only have 1 copy of our signal. And since delay is always recording into a buffer, we can jump anywhere in between, say, the past like 1 bar in sync mode. And in time mode, we can jump anywhere within the past 5 seconds that have gone into the delay. So you can hear when you move around this knob, by default, it's kind of repitching to catch up to the new place in time, which, don't get me wrong, is super useful for like making like sound effects. So I might like just move this knob around and turn up the feedback. Then I can get like a new MIDI track, drag in our recording, and set it to like slice mode. And then get another delay so we can kind of have these sound effects we can layer over our track. But repitching isn't the only way that you can time jump. So there's also this fade mode, which lets you crossfade to the new place in time, which gives you this like satisfying scrubbing effect. And then there's this jump mode, which just straight up jumps to the new place in time and can create a lot of artifacts, as you can hear. And going back to the LFO, so they've just updated it where now you can change the wave and time mode. So in the past, you can only modulate the delay time and filter with a triangle wave and hertz timing, which isn't always the most musical. Like, I guess you can make some like vibrato type stuff with it. Maybe Fade could have some cool glitches with it. But now they've added all these different wave types, which expand the possibilities of what you can do with delay. So I'm going to start off with this wander mode on repitching. So in the past, I've always had to get an external LFO and set it to like stray mode, which is basically this like curved random, and set it to the delay time if I wanted like an unstable like pitch warble tape effect. But now you don't even need an external LFO. So wander is also a curved random. I might pick like a really low like delay time and then turn up this delay amount. And then we get this like really vintage like pitch warble sound. I might save this as unstable pitch warble. And this might also be nice if you pair it with like erosion. Something I've always loved to do with erosion is get an envelope follower and map it to the amount, so it just follows the amplitude of whatever you're playing into it. I might turn up the fall. Maybe might get another one on the noise blend. But that's not even what I'm most excited about. So I'm just going to get a fresh delay here, turn the feedback all the way down, drive it all the way up. So with this new LFO in combination with fade mode, Ableton has basically just turned delay into an automatic sample slicer. So say we set this wave to SNH, which stands for random sample and hold. So this is a form of random where it just stair steps to the next random value. And if I wanted some kind of like musical, like rhythmic chopping, I might want to set the time to be synced and then like I might demonstrate on like quarter notes for right now. So if I turn off the filter and then turn up the delay time, It's basically sampling random positions between now and the past, like 375 milliseconds in this case. And we can have this have like a bigger like sample range if we turn up the time. And this can be cool if you're trying to give like a glitch effect. I might set the rate to be like 16th notes. And you can kind of make like a pretty atmosphere with this if you like turn down the dry wet and then turn up the feedback to make it more spacious. And turn on the ping pong. You can even turn on the filter, make it a low bandwidth, and then also turn up the LFO on the filter. So it kind of jumps around all over the place. You could even make this into like a prettier atmosphere rack if we get a hybrid reverb. Group these together and open up the chain window and create a dry chain. So this is going to be our unaffected signal. And then this is going to be our wet chain. I'm going to turn up the dry wet completely on our glitch delay. And I might quickly want to make a dry wet knob. So I'm going to open up this chain window here. And I'm going to select both of these chains, drag them out all the way. And if you drag these little white bars on top of the blue bars, these are the volume fades. So if we drag one of these to one side, so this is going to be our wet signal, and then our dry signal, we drag this all the way to the other side. This blue bar will basically control the volumes of each of these. So I can map this to a macro. So when I move this around, it's kind of controlling the dry wet. But you'll notice that there's still a little bit of volume bleeding through at the end of the wet signal. So to kind of counteract that, we can kind of shift these blue bars over by one. So this will completely mute this chain. And then we can do the same to the dry signal too. So now we have a dry wet knob. Or alternatively, if you just wanted like to add on the wet signal, you could have the dry just stay all the way. Then to make this reverb a little more pretty, I might set it to algorithm mode so we don't have any convolution. And I'll set the algorithm to shimmer. I know someone's going to go crazy on this on their next ambient album. I think I'm going to steal a feature from Echo here really quickly. So in this character tab, there's this ducking section. So this is a built-in sidechain that will duck the wet echo to our piano. So if I start playing, you can hear there's like minimal echo right now, but then I stop playing, the echo will fade back in. And I want to add that feature to this rack that we're making. So I'm going to get a compressor at the end of this wet chain here. I'll open up this sidechain tab and turn on external. And then I'm going to set the source to be this track, and then this rack pre-effects. So that's taking our dry signal as our sidechain input. And now we can adjust this threshold to kind of duck the wet signal here. I personally like to duck it by peak mode, but then I would turn up the threshold a little bit since it can be a little extreme. And then you can set the release to auto, so it's kind of smart about when it kind of lets go. And with this chain, you can map whatever knobs you think would be nice to control like on your macros. So maybe the ducking threshold, maybe the hybrid reverb dry wet. And on the delay, I might map like our delay time, which would be like our time machine range. Then you could close up the chains and just name this glitch Atmos or something. Okay, so I actually just turned this rack into something that's completely randomizable. So I'm going to provide this as a free download in the description. Now I have one more trick I want to show with this delay glitch fade method. So on my looper video, someone commented that you can actually insert effects into looper's feedback loop. So I think it'd be cool to use our glitch delay in this looper feedback loop while having it constantly shifting octaves. So in order to set this up, I'm going to make a new audio track, and then we're going to take audio from our track that has the looper on it. And instead of post mixer, we're going to select insert looper. And then to route that audio back into the looper, we're going to set the output to that same track, and it'll automatically choose insert looper. So this track is going to be our looper effects chain that gets feedbacked into looper over and over again. So I'm going to go ahead and drag delay onto this. And just so you can hear what this is doing, I'm going to turn on in so we can hear this and start recording. And you can hear the feedback all the way up. It's going to get more intense each time. So I'm just going to turn that down. But we want to scramble the audio that comes into the looper. So I'm going to quickly set up our fade glitch. Maybe set the time to be like 3 seconds. Maybe we can do wander wave this time. And then set it to be like synced half notes. Then turn up the modulation on the delay. So now when we play audio through it, you can hear that's continuously getting more scrambled each time it goes back through the loop. So if you're careful with how often you're feeding new audio into this feedback loop, you could probably get some cool scrambled audio results. But if you watched my last looper video, you probably know that I like to have it constantly shifting octaves. So I'm going to group this looper into a rack, map the speed to a macro, change the minimum to -12 and the maximum to +12. And now I want to get an LFO on binary mode, so this will either pick the minimum or the maximum value. I'm going to set this to remote and map this to the speed. Let me quickly turn on the dry wet so you can hear what this is doing. So now if I put new notes through, you can hear it shifting between the octaves. I think it's too sudden, so I'm going to turn up this smooth so it kind of like bloops. I'm also going to duplicate this LFO and map this one to the depth so it will sometimes play our bass octave. And just for more audio manipulation, I'm going to duplicate this one more time, turn down the smooth, and then map this to the reverse. Now I'm going to turn up our delay again. And now I think it'd be cool to start resampling this. I'm thinking it might be cool to get another LFO on binaries so we can map it to this feedback knob. So we can have this kind of create like audio dropouts. So this way we're kind of controlling like that watered down version of the loop that's gotten reiterated over and over again. Maybe we could even get another LFO on random and have that modulate the rate. And if we want to take it a little bit further, we can just copy this whole rack and place it on this insert chain. Except I don't want the LFOs that are controlling the feedback. I think I will just want this to reiterate once and then only play the output, not play the input. And I think there's so much room for possibilities of what you can put on this chain. Like you can put different VSTs, stock effects. If you just feel like your audio is a little bit boring and need some kind of glitching, you can just make this chain and then just see what it outputs. And after you're satisfied with whatever audio you make, you can go ahead and either save that to your library, or I might get a new MIDI track and just drop that in slice mode. Or you can chop them up in little bits and use them as percussion, or even try to make a full track out of it. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. I hope you learned something new, or maybe think of delay in a different way. Consider checking out my racks and max devices, and shout out Ableton for sponsoring this video.